All right, you are live.
Thank you, and welcome to the Discipline Matrix Ad Hoc meeting. It is, I was going to say it was Tuesday, but it is Wednesday, October 2nd, and it's 6:05. We are still waiting for a couple of members to join, but figured that we would maximize this heat with productivity. Maybe we feel good about that. Are there any questions from the last series of docs and minutes that Deputy Chief and Chief of Staff have sent you all? Okay, no questions. Then I'm going to hand it over to Deputy Chief Hubbard.
Thank you. Do you want to review everything that was finalized from last week?
Please, because I feel like in this heat, I'm not going to remember what happened 10 minutes ago, long last week.
Okay, let me open up. I'm going to start with let me share my screen here. Okay, can you all see that okay?
Mm-hmm.
I'll start with the mission statement. Mission statement did not change for us since last week, but regardless, now that we have fresh eyes, we can take another look at it. I'll go ahead and read it. The Oakland Police Department's mission is to provide police service focused on public safety and the sanctity of life, to hold ourselves accountable to a high standard of conduct, efficiency, and efficacy, and to promote mutual respect between the department and the community of Oakland.
I think we liked that. Did anybody want to make any changes? I thought that was pretty ambitious.
Yeah, no, it's great. I like it. Thank
you. Okay, and Deacon Lyles is on his way. And to the vision.
I think I see Deacon Lyles here. I saw his hand briefly up. I don't know if he had a comment.
Oh, okay, great.
Thumbs up.
We'll wait for him. We'll wait for him. Oh, okay. And chairs, us too.
Okay. All right, moving on to vision. We will work in partnership with our community and recognize the successes of our staff. We are committed to building a team of trained and developed professionals to provide top quality service. We will hold ourselves and each other accountable, value community engagement, and encourage positive employee morale within the police profession. Additionally, we will continue to strive to exemplify 21st century constitutional policing, which requires policing grounded in protecting constitutional rights, fostering community trust, ensuring transparency and accountability, and using evidence-based practices to reduce crime fairly and effectively. In short, we will be leaders in the transformation of policing in the U.S. That should be.
You want to say in Oakland and the U.S. or just make it broad? I don't know. I'm just asking. What do people think?
I see Deacon Lyle's hand.
Oh, yeah. My apologies. I didn't see it.
The in short part, to me, is such a strong statement. It shouldn't be at the end. At the top of the statement. For example, vision. Our goal is to be leaders in the transformation of policing in the United States, period. And then go on saying what you have to say. If you don't like that, then I would put it after additionally.
Actually, I like that. Our goal, and rather than the in short, just start out. Mm-hmm. And the rest of the wording is fine, but I like the.
Our goal is to be leaders in the transformation of policing in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
and then period. Then,
Yep.
right, then the next sentence, we will work in partnership. So this is how you're explaining how you're going to be in a leadership.
Yep.
What does your leadership look like? So that second sentence, we, goes right after the first sentence that ended with the United States.
I think you're Johnny on the spot. Thank you.
Okay.
And you know, and I would put United States and put we right after it. You know, that's a pretty bold statement.
No, it is, it's declarative for sure,
Yeah. Okay.
but it's the way we should be. Because we're not acquiescing, we're not kind of shifting around. It's like, no, this is what we're gonna do.
Okay. All right. Anything else for vision? All right. Moving on to values fairness. We value fairness in our dealings with our community and with each other. Fairness is the opportunity to deliver services to our community and make decisions that are impartial, equitable, and just, regardless of rank or status.
I'd make the same argument here. That rank and status is what I know the line officers want to hear. And that was their complaint. So I would start it off with that, regardless of rank and status. We will value fairness in our dealing with our community and each other.
Okay, I see you.
Then correct me if I'm wrong. I don't want to like dominate, but
It's okay, you dominate well, so go
okay.
ahead.
But regardless of rank or status or political affiliation or we value, regardless of rank of or status or political affiliation, or maybe not
Okay.
political affiliations. What
I was gonna ask
say?
about that, yeah.
I
Okay,
want to say community status, community connections.
community connections, what is that? Well, where are you
What
trying
I'm
to go?
trying to say is that, okay, you're in trouble, but so I'm gonna call my cousin who is the chairman of blah, 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 who's gonna call Deputy Chief so-and-so, and thereby I get some leniency, or they look the other way, or they don't bring forth all of the evidence. Regardless
So
of rank or status or community affiliations.
do you, maybe it should be affiliations or social capital, or, that might be too much.
That's what I'm trying to talk about, social
Yeah.
capital.
Yeah, so
Everybody
regardless
doesn't
of
have
rank,
those connections.
correct. So regardless of rank, status, or social capital, and you tell me, Deputy Chief or Lieutenant Durham, will everybody understand what social capital means?
It doesn't jump off the page with a clear definition. Hearing
Okay.
Deacon Lyles explain it, I understand the context, but if I were just reading this for the first time, I think I would struggle with that.
Do you have a better phrase for what we're trying to say? Okay,
What would you use?
let me rephrase the question another way. What annoys officers the most when the rumor comes out that one officer has connections with this group or that group, and thereby they are not held at the same scrutiny as other officers who don't have that kind of political capital?
Yeah, I
That's
think the
almost how I
word
put that.
connections is the most obvious to us. Like if you say your connections discourages fairness, I think that's an obvious word for
Do you
people to
want to
understand.
say social connections or just connections?
It could be family connections too, nepotism and
Yeah,
other, I mean, political connections. There's a lot
Okay, so
within
then maybe
that.
we just say connections, because then that's an arc over all of it.
yeah.
Is that cool? Okay.
Rank, status, or connections.
Okay, I like it. All right, moving on to integrity. Integrity is paramount. It is the commitment to uphold factual accuracy, transparency, and accountability in all aspects of policing, ensuring that our actions and decisions are grounded in honesty and a pursuit of what is right. Integrity encompasses transparency and accountability born from a desire to do the right thing, even in difficult situations or when no one is watching. By the way, all this and highlighted is what we talked about last week. So I wanted
Right.
to make sure those stick out.
Yeah, no, appreciate that. Um, does the word born, is it necessary? Is it rooted? Is it an
Integrity,
authentic desire to do
Accountability.
the right thing?
transparency, accountability. Emanating from a desire to do the right thing.
Okay. I like that. Everybody else, that cool?
Yes.
I neglected to check in with you. Chair, are you okay? Okay, well, I guess we'll just get back to it then.
Okay.
Um, you know, the word even in difficult situations, is it okay to say especially in difficult situations? I mean, you know, this concept of integrity, somehow we try to choose not to do it when it's difficult. Well, when it's difficult is the only time it matters.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah, I like it.
Okay, so let's take even out and just say especially. Okay. Everybody good? Move on to respect now?
Respect. We value and respect all employees throughout our organization, both up and down the chain of command. We require that we treat each other and the community with respect.
Now, in our requirement, how do people feel that?
We do require it. We are, I think I talked about this before, the Hillard Hines study, we did a survey to all employees, and even though we required, I don't think all employees feel that way. We're actually gearing up for another survey along the same lines, but it has to do with Task 45. But I don't. There's no disagreement that we require it, but following through, I think, is the
Well, how do you
challenge that people
enforce it?
have.
Yeah, because I think that it's not helpful to do a survey if you're really just trying to restate what you've already stated. Part of me feels like there should be something about enforcement inside the survey. Because I feel like people think they can get away with it, then they don't do it.
Yeah, certainly. I know our efforts with this ad hoc is critical because the discipline matrix is supposed to promote fairness, as in it removes the subjectivity out of things, the emotion out of decisions as it pertains to discipline, and just sticks to the facts. And we also leave gender and race out of the discussion when the chiefs gather together to talk about a case and the proposed discipline. And that's in an effort to treat each other with respect and equality.
When is the timing of that survey?
Well, I have that's a great question. I really wanted to get it out before and done before November 1st. So I coincidentally, just right before this meeting, I was emailing the city attorney's office and a member of my staff just for us to meet and finalize the questions.
I hate to, step on toes. Is that something that we could look at?
I see no problem with that. I do have to ask the city attorney, but yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I just think that sometimes surveys don't actually get at what you're trying to get at.
Mhm.
And so us folks on the outside, might have a response or reaction or recommendation that might be helpful. I don't know.
Right. Yeah. No, I like that idea.
And not to change the subject, but we got respect, that's the title, and then we end the sentence with respect. And I don't know if we defined what we mean by respect.
There we go.
And I think I've been doodling over here. Okay, we require that we treat each other and the community with proper etiquette, consideration, and honesty. So that makes the sentence a little longer, but this is what we mean when we say respect. This is what the police OPD means. This is what respect means to us. You got to have proper etiquette. You don't call no old lady by her first name and you just met her and her name is
No
Mrs.
old lady.
You don't call, well, it shouldn't even be old lady.
Right. I just
in my childhood head. Now it could be any, it should be Mr. So-and-so, Mrs. So-and-so. You don't get to call them by their first name if they haven't,
Yeah. So
and
back to you, Deputy Chief. Are the officers, I'm not trying to paint a picture of anybody being less than knowledgeable, but do they use the word etiquette? Would they know what that means?
I think so. I think that's a general understanding. Maybe I know Captain Dorham deals with this a lot, just working in internal affairs, and you get some officers, members. It's not just professional staff. Also, it's calling someone bro, for example. In their mind, it's like, well, that's proper etiquette. There's nothing. I don't mind when people call me bro, but we really enforce like, no, that's we're in customer service. If you called customer service for a personal issue and they called you bro or something to the liking, you would probably not be happy with that. The same applies to us. So I think it's like what etiquette means to us is important, not necessarily the word etiquette.
And just to add on to that lens is usually viewed through professionalism.
yes, that is professional. when you treat each other, when you treat the public with a certain kind of etiquette level.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I'm speaking, that how we evaluate it is what is objectively professional or objectively unprofessional. That's all I'm saying.
And I agree with you. And I
Something that
just think
invokes
that
the-
proper etiquette, consideration, and honesty, that's
Etiquette
that-
is the word.
Say it again, Marcia.
I don't think, hello, everyone. Sorry, just getting off the playground, getting settled. I think the word proper, a proper decorum,
Okay.
and well, I'm still looking for the word. But I don't think it's etiquette. Etiquette, you may find more in how you eat a meal at the table. Proper etiquette, fork, knife, spoon. Decorum and hold on a minute. Keep working through it. But etiquette.
Yeah, I was looking at the definition and it talks about deep admiration and this, that, and the other. And I don't necessarily think that that's what we're talking about, even though that, qualifies.
But
Yeah.
I like the dictionary definition for decorum.
Mm,
It
okay.
says
Well,
good
decorum
taste
or
and propriety.
propriety, yes.
And see, and that invokes the more higher professional standards, which I think is what we're getting at too.
Propriety or decorum, both or both.
The decorum, or yeah.
Now, imagine you are in an arbitration and the issue is that you've been charged with lack of respect, proper decorum. Is that vague and ambiguous, or is that going to be enough? I'm just asking.
Yeah, it's a fair
Because
question.
that's what I
This is probably one of the most highly debated things internally. It just what is etiquette, decorum, etc. Just because
it's like,
it's relative to the
Well,
person a lot of
styles of
times.
communication,
Yeah.
are different.
How about this?
so
Go ahead. Sorry.
politeness, courtesy, common courtesy, but courtesy is not common, maybe.
Right,
Some
right, it's not.
civility. I think civility may hit it.
Yeah,
We would look at
Yeah,
each other and
are there any objections to just identifying it as professionalism?
I don't know that professionalism and respect are the same for
Yeah.
people in their interpretation.
Yeah, I can be
Yeah.
professional. I don't have to respect you.
Yeah,
And,
that
I don't
comes
have to
through-
treat you.
Well,
I don't have to treat you in a,
well, and I totally agree. I guess where I'm going is that as far as like having it be something that's objectively identifiable to the officers, and I do agree, right? Like, I also think there's a difference between showing respect and respecting someone. I oftentimes don't really know if an officer truly respects someone, but I can't evaluate whether they're showing respect.
Well,
And
but
so
it's
I
a
totally agree with
deference.
that.
It's a deference. It's a,
I-
admitted behavioral, kind of like when Deacon Lyle said, I can be professional, but I don't have to respect you. That whole tone, there are ways that people talk to each other, and the decorum piece, the politeness or the deference, we can
Proper
leave.
behavior.
Yeah, and again, proper.
and all of this is subjective.
Yeah.
And
And
when we get into subjectivity, it's a question of whether or not it is applied across the board evenly.
That's what we're
Okay.
driving at.
Yes.
Well, I don't know that we can mandate that, but what I want to ensure is that people actually understand, because we have clarified what the expectation is. I mean,
Exactly.
just kind of like common courtesy ain't common, some of this stuff is ridiculous that people act
Have
like
to
they don't
upgrade.
understand it because they
Right.
don't want to do it.
Right. So if I were to choose, I would say we require that we treat each other and community with proper civility. And there was another one that we were looking at, another word, civility and courtesy.
Okay, I would vote to take proper out because again, we don't necessarily know what proper means to some people. But
Okay.
I like the courtesy and civility, which you already have here.
I also think the more words we use, the better defines what respect means.
Okay.
So civility, courtesy, politeness, proper behavior. Excuse me.
The only thing
Professional behavior.
Because if we give too many words, they're going to be able to pick which one they feel they did.
And that's fine.
Okay.
And I don't, long as they're aiming and we're communicating, that you just can't MF people out on the street. You can't call them out of their names just because you're arresting them. You can't call them the B word and all of that, and all of that because you were in a scuffle and you won the fight, but you handcuffing them. Now they a bunch of names and all that stuff. I've seen in all of that, and that's not professional. It's over. It's handcuffed. Cool off. Walk away.
Okay.
And that's when we get in trouble. That's when officers get in trouble, is that he should have been arrested. He should have been handcuffed. The baton should have been used. But why does he got to be all of them M's and F's and B's and the whole crowd heard you talking to him like that or her like that?
Yeah. Get your ass on the ground.
Yeah. Okay. Now she's down. It's over. Handcuffed. That's not professional.
No. Okay. Got it.
And in this one, my goal is to try to communicate with the officers to say, this is what we want, not the other stuff. With civility, courtesy, politeness, and professional behavior.
I think that captures it all.
Yeah, that was a real appropriate discussion because that was important to clarify even further. So are we good to move forward?
I'm good.
I am. Ricardo, what do you think?
Yes, sir. Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And if y'all remember, the original one was really short, just almost one sentence. So I think just this expansion on this is definitely good.
Good. I just have one question. We have the word etiquette outside of the paren. Do we need it?
No. Take that out. That's it. That's the sentence.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to service. Our mission of providing constitutional policing constantly guides our decisions, which are focused on public safety and quality of life while ensuring that our services are efficient, courteous, and effective. By the way, constitutional policing is capitalized. I research that. I know we talked about that
Okay.
last week.
Right.
This is all under the service. I'll move it down here so it's. This is a tough one because these are our values, and we are constantly challenging this when we're sometimes slow to respond to calls for service. I mean, sometimes people are waiting a few days for our service based on the priority of the call, and it somewhat undermines our values when we do
So you don't want to use the word expedient.
that.
Nope.
Yeah, I mean, I want to. I wish we were in a position to do that, but sometimes it's just not there.
Responsive. You don't want to use the word responsive?
I believe that we're responsive. I think it's sometimes our delay speaks to our responsiveness oftentimes, but I mean, I'll take a page out of what I speak highly of in the academy is whatever call for service that a police officer goes to, they must act as if that's the most important problem to deal with, as in you shouldn't be distracted on what else you need to do or the call's standing. It's like that problem brought to you is the most important thing. So that's how I frame this is like, okay, if you want to provide the best service, sometimes you can't control how quickly we respond to a call, but are you efficient? Are you courteous? Are you effective when you do show up? And
one more
if
element,
that,
Lieutenant Hubbard,
sure.
if
Yes,
you
sir.
would accept this. I
Yep.
want you to be efficient. I want you to be courteous or professional. And I want you to be effective. And I also want them to promote public safety. So that our services are efficient, courteous, effective, and promote public safety. If you're not making the public safe or have the perception of safety, you're not effective, you're not efficient.
Okay, so they just got this other public safety thing now.
Huh?
Well, you have public safety already up here, focused on public safety.
Okay.
So our decisions are
focused on public safety, quality of life. Okay.
So
why
then
don't you
say
say
efficient, courteous, and effective, period.
oh,
which are focused on public safety and quality.
Does that work?
it's still a little awkward.
Okay, well, what would you offer?
I got a big fly in here. Oh, I hate flies. Our mission of providing constitutional policing constantly guides our decisions, which promote public safety and are focused on quality of life while ensuring that our services are efficient, courteous, and effective. Instead of which are focused, which promote, instead of our focus, which promote public safety and are focused on quality of life comma, while ensuring that our services are
Yeah,
efficient, courteous, and effective. How about that?
I like it.
Yeah.
Okay. I drank 3 big 16-ounce bottles of water, and all I did is sweat. I did nothing else. It's like all my water came out of my forehead
Yeah.
today.
Well, that's how it goes sometimes.
It was so hot out there. And those little kids, they can play in the heat like you can't believe.
Oh, yeah, but they're gonna sleep well tonight.
I hope I do too.
Yeah, right.
I think water will start somewhere else in the middle of the night, which I hate. Sorry, TMI.
Yep.
Where are we now?
Teamwork,
Moving
I
on,
think, is where
the
we're at.
last one, teamwork. The mission's purpose and adherence to values are best achieved by supported, valued, and developed employees, whether through mentoring, peer, supervisory, command support, or mutual respect. OPD expects our staff to work together to achieve our common goal.
Should we say what the common goal is? I mean, I feel like we keep kind of underscoring it, but I don't know.
Well, the common goal is constitutional policing.
Mm-hmm.
Holding each other accountable.
Yep.
And we could also add,
Excuse me. So does that do it?
Yeah, the mentoring is something we definitely value, but a struggle to achieve.
Why is that?
You
I'm
know,
just curious.
yeah, no, it's I can't point to a single reason behind that. And I'll just use something easy like the academy, where mentoring should come easy, but there's apathy on both sides. Like the recruits actively engaging a mentor that we assign to them, and then also the mentor with their mentee. Um,
Oh,
Maybe it's a sign of just too everyone's overworked and tired, but
okay. What does
you,
mentoring look like? It's not shadowing, obviously, and it's not joining a person up with a particular sergeant or training officer. Is this? It's more of a volunteer program.
it is a volunteer program. I can give you different stages. Just on the line officer and employee, there's a mentorship program, and I can send you everything that we established in the academy. But the expectation was there would be weekly check-ins. I wrote a whole essay, if you will, on how to mentor. We actually give, or if they want, a book to read by John Maxwell on how to be a mentor. There's also, upon promotion to sergeant or lieutenant, more of a force mentoring program where the sergeant's assigned to a seasoned sergeant in the field who walks them through different scenarios. That's been very helpful. But what
That's incentivized in some way? No? Okay.
there is an actual monetary incentive in the Oakland Police Officers Association MOU, where you actually, if you mentor a new officer from beginning to end of the academy all the way through field training, you actually get money. But when I was the training commander, I only had maybe 6 people signed up. And I just don't understand why more people wouldn't take advantage of that.
Is it a pathway to promotion?
It certainly can be. And that's, I think you gotta, I'm sorry, there's nothing written that says that you actually get there's no bump in points, if you will, if you do tests, but I think you're onto something there.
That the only way
has to
you
be
change behavior in
incentivized.
organization
Yeah.
is either through promotion or pay. And so you got to put what you want done in the path of promotion. In other words, if we are doing oral interviews and I'm looking at your jacket and your jacket has you been a mentor and a volunteer for this and that, then you should get a higher score than the person who would not do that.
Yeah.
And you should get the benefit because you're the kind of person we're looking for. Someone who cares about the organizations, wants to develop the people. The number one resource in the organization are the people, and you want to develop them, help us develop them. So you are the higher sergeant candidate in my mind. And so you have to talk about that before the sergeant's exams or put it in writing so people can understand, oh, this is the way to get, I should become an FTO. I should mentor.
Right.
I wonder how many people have experience with mentoring, receiving or giving. I mean, especially since they come in so young, that maybe they don't understand the value.
Certainly on both sides, being a mentor and a mentee. Yeah.
So again,
I guess
how you create incentives and what those incentives are attached to are important. And if you have to change your point process for promotion to add a point there, or if there is additional pay, you need to have that spelled out somewhere. So how you incentivize the sort of behavior you're looking for, and it's not just checking a box incentive, but actually doing the work, I think could yield some results.
I agree with that. And that's culture. That's how you do cultural change.
Mm-hmm.
If you expect people to do something different, they got to see that it's beneficial to them to do that difference. And so we ought to identify the things that are important to us. We want mentors, but we don't see. I'm a firm believer that mentoring goes on no matter what, and it happens at the bars. It happens when they get together and play cards, or wherever they get together and have a choir practice or whatever. In my old age, that's what we used to call it. But that's where the mentoring is going on. But that's usually negative.
Yeah.
That's usually negative. So what we're trying to say now, or at least what I'm trying to say now, you got to counteract that. If you want people to love diversity and to love professionalism, they got to have an opportunity to do things on their own where they have to use their affinity to diversity. They have to use their professionalism. And payment can be money, and payment can be, you're the kind of guy that we see. It could be the encouragement that deputy chiefs walk around and tell people when they managing by walking around. That's what it means. You stop and talk to people and you tell, we're watching you. You're looking good. Just one word or sentence.
Attaboys, attagirls.
Yeah, that's how you change culture. Now, there'll be some kickback on that. Of course, the union could say that's unofficial, it's not fair, and blah, blah, blah. But you got to ignore that kind of stuff because every organization does it. It doesn't have to be law enforcement, but every business does it. Every mom and pop store does it.
I just hate that we don't do it because it's just the right thing to do and that we have to incentivize. So
I know, but these guys have been acculturated, and I'm saying these guys, I'm gonna say law enforcement in this day and age has been acculturated because of the heavy influence of the union and the culture of the union or the associations, that they do nothing unless pay is attached.
yep, I understand.
Yeah, it's kind of a what's in it for me. Well, we have improved attendance, we have improved morale, we have, it has to be measurable, some sort of way. But yeah.
It can't just be cronyism. It has to be, we see you're a part of the mentoring program, and we really appreciate that. Sergeant exams come up, that person ought to have that on their, on their resume.
On my resume, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And if you have a structured program, it should be in their jacket that they are part of it.
Somebody should be writing them an accommodation for it.
Yeah. Should have some sort of monthly get together to, rally each other in the group, some sort of group. You ought to also have a reading group. Who's reading the books that are, helping to shape constitutional policing? And I mean, and there's some good ones out there, starting with the writers. I just really feel if an Oakland police officer has not read the writers, they're not in it yet. They're just not understanding what happened and what needs to happen going forward.
Exactly.
I would love to start a book club at OPD. I would love that.
Yeah, do it.
You don't need the chief's permission or the mayor's permission. You need to say, I'm having an online book club, and hey, come join us at such and such time. And that's it. I guarantee you it'll be just as beneficial to you than the people who are associating with it. Yeah. Let's say 5 years from now in some major city in the Midwest or down south, and you're one of the candidates. You did what? Tell me about that. I started a book club for blah, blah, blah. Why'd you do that? I wanted to develop the next line of supervisors.
Yeah, the next
generation. Told you to do that. Yeah. No one. I did it on my own. Hey, let's hire this guy. I was told that there are waves. You got to see yourself like a surfer. There are waves that come in every so many years or months of new social ideas and dynamics. Your job is to recognize the wave early enough, like a surfer does when they swim out to the wave, recognize, position yourself and ride it all the way into the beach. So as soon as you can recognize the wave and get up on it, the better you will be. And you don't have to pay me for that, Lieutenant Deputy Chief Albert.
Thank you. I like it. Thank you. I'm gonna write that down.
Also, Captain Dornan, listen.
I hear you, sir.
See, and these are all, new things to bring new thinking. If we keep doing the same way and expecting a different result, and we haven't introduced new concepts, new programs, new incentives, then they don't recognize that there is a change required or afoot.
Well, and it has to, this kind of thing needs to be part of the in crowd, right? Everybody's doing it. And so therefore we should be doing it because we recognize that, you know, particularly when they start on the academy, they're new, they're doing what everybody is doing or what is popular, or the value is coming from the fact that everybody seems to be in the know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, we'll create such a mass around this, it's going to take time, but it's going to be, there's going to be a point where this new way of thinking, this new crowd, this new mass is going to be what's in. And this old thinking is going to be out.
Right.
I mean, there has to be a turning point, a tipping point, and we have to bring it about. Because if we keep it the same, they don't see any value in changing their behavior. I'm still top dog. My way of thinking is still the way it's done. Because you don't want any new recruit coming out and getting paired with someone who say, now forget all that you've learned at the academy.
And that's what happens.
Yeah, get it. This is how it's done.
This is how we do it.
Yeah. And if you don't do it that way, you're going to find yourself on a call without backup or something, you know, foolish, crazy like that, which I'm hoping nothing like that is ever said or done in OPD. So where are we? Did we get, I did ask that question. Tell me what does the mentoring, what is it? And now that we kind of understand, I think you need to incentivize teamwork and collective thinking around constitutional policing. And what kind of programs, new programs you institute, you know, should be guided by some of these textbooks or not textbook, books that have come out and have told us what works and what doesn't work, what's bad and what's good.
Yeah. No, you're all right. I as I read through this just this past week, I'm trying to think through the lens of an officer who would maybe scoff at some of these words on here, like mentoring. What mentoring? And oh, command support. What command support? So I want to make sure I can defend. We can defend everything in here. And yeah,
I think that's important.
Yeah, and I expect them not to understand this, because this is that indication that would indicate to me, or to anyone who's working on this kind of stuff, is that we are doing cultural change. If they get this right off the bat and agree with it, then we wouldn't be in the fix we're in now.
Right.
So
Well, remember,
so if some people kick back and you know, what is it, you know, have an attitude, that's a litmus test of saying we need to pursue in this direction. This is where we want to go.
Yep.
and I would say this, guys, this is more like like we have the charter and then we have the enabling ordinance or the municipal code.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a statement, but what implements it? What makes it happen? Do you have a mentoring program? Do you have a book club? Do you incentivize being a part of certain things, and that gives you points in your promotion? You know, you got to write this in somewhere in your legislation that backs this up. Can't be a mere statement.
right.
The work is not just done here, not here.
Right.
This is just the beginning. we can move on, I suspect.
Yes, I'm wondering if there is a sentence or two at the end of all of this that I don't want to say it's aspirational, but
Well, all of this is aspirational unless it's codified somewhere
well, but that's
with
the point.
accountability.
You were
Yeah.
talking about, where should it be located? How do people reference it to further understand?
Well, again, there either we have to create a mentoring program that speaks to, how you can achieve greater visibility and how it impacts your promotional opportunities. And I know these are things that the union will balk against, but we have to go to the table anyway in a couple of years. Just get ready for these kind of changes to the MOU.
Absolutely.
Commissioner Jackson, were you saying a summary sentence or two for everything that you see in this document, or specific to teamwork?
No, just for the overview of everything.
Yeah. Well, I can certainly work on that this week, and have something by Friday on what that looks like. But we can take
Yeah.
a stab at it now.
Is this the end?
It is, yeah,
Oh,
yeah. For
okay.
this
Into
document,
this section.
we have,
Okay.
yeah. So again, this is the mission, vision, and then our values, which the acronym of FIRST.
Yeah.
Okay.
The last one being teamwork. So if we wanted to,
So we could say that, the mission values and whatever are codified in our policies and procedures or whatever. There's something that says these aren't just words on a page.
Right.
That's all.
Right.
let me write this down. Let's see. Permeates through all of our policies.
Yeah, well, we reflected and permeate throughout.
Go ahead, Marcia.
The other thing is, we really hammer this home in the academy, but how many officers actually carry it with them and know it even later in their career?
Well, do you do refreshers?
Yeah, so there's two things. It's funny how COVID changed a lot of things, but we used to have a lot more inspections by watch commanders. So, we're going to line up, where the officers in the room, the watch commander comes in and says, all right, we're going to do a uniform inspection. We all line up outside, and this includes professional staff. And sometimes you had the watch commander who would say, all right, what's our vision? What's our mission? What are our values? And it wouldn't have to be verbatim, but it really did test people. And you didn't want to be embarrassed. So sometimes in the locker room, you would brush up on it really quick, knowing that the question was coming.
Right.
In the academy, I have a story that goes with this. We have pocket constitution books that we make all the recruits carry on their person. And there's a story that goes with that of why I promoted that years ago, but it's something tangible that they actually feel on their person and keep on their person at all times, no matter what. And so I think this same here applies, where it's not just if it really permeates, then something I can create to fit on a laminated card that officers should be required to carry as part of their uniform.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it should be at your, what do you have, roll call in the morning? What is it called? Lineup? Not
Briefing, yeah, lineup, yeah, yeah.
Okay. And maybe there should be 10 minutes devoted to some aspect.
Yeah.
I mean, every
Yeah.
time I pick up my kids in their classrooms, I have to remind them to be respectful and oh man, I'm tired. Respectful, disciplined, and safe.
The
Those are
point
the
is that you
words.
have to carve out time as a part of your daily regimen or whatever to celebrate those things that are most important. And when you guys write a story about some officer that did something, you know, excellent, does the end of that story say, you know, that they have done an outstanding job of demonstrating the values and the mission of OPD, you know?
It's not consistent. Sometimes you get that, sometimes not, but I understand where you're going with that, where that's another way of reinforcing this. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, one of the teachers at the wind up at the end of the day asks each kid or to raise their hand if they have a shout out. Some of them are self-absorbed. I want to give a shout out to myself because I was able to do my homework without being prompted. But some of them say, I want to give a shout out to Officer so-and-so for,
Right.
you know, a real assist in a tough time or some tough community contact, you know. So they feel like they are working on a team and
Yeah.
that they value each other's input. Little things like that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I
Well,
think we'll get to
I'll work
you.
on it.
You've got a good, strong sense of what we're after.
Certainly.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Are we good with this document? I will clean this up and send it out again before Friday.
I think we are.
Okay. Shall we move to the preamble?
Sure enough.
Okay.
Excuse me.
All right. The preamble, I don't think, we only changed a couple things, but I can read through the whole thing just because we have fresh eyes on it. The purpose of this manual of rules is to provide clear and specific guidance regarding the standards of conduct that govern the Oakland Police Department's personnel, both sworn officers and professional staff. These standards align with the department's core values of accountability, transparency, and service, ensuring that all personnel understand their roles and responsibilities in upholding public trust and operational integrity. I'll pause there. Any questions on that or changes?
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
While the law enforcement code of ethics applies specifically to officers, all professional staff are held to the same high standards of accountability and ethical conduct in accordance with the department's policies and procedures. Whether sworn or civilian, personnel must demonstrate professionalism and uphold the values guiding our community service.
Okay.
We recognize that even after following the department's hiring protocols, not every individual who is successfully hired may be suited for the psychological, emotional, compassionate, and professional demands of law enforcement. When an officer's behavior, coupled with supervision, reveals repeated misconduct and progressive disciplinary actions have failed, it becomes necessary to remove the officer from the rigors and responsibilities of law enforcement.
Okay, that sounds good.
I just going back to Lieutenant Nash, remember she was at the commission meeting talking about law enforcement and the difference of terms. So it's called the Law Enforcement Code of Ethics, but I like how she said like policing it's not always about enforcement. And I think I want to change that to just policing, because there's so many.
I think that makes sense.
All right. Discipline and accountability are essential for maintaining the department's reputation and effectiveness. Personnel are encouraged to develop key personal attributes such as self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation, empathy, and effective communication, which are critical to navigating discipline constructively. Self-awareness helps personnel reflect on their actions and identify areas for improvement. Self-regulation enables them to manage emotional responses, maintaining professionalism even when facing discipline or feedback. Motivation drives personnel to see discipline as an opportunity for growth and development, not a punitive measure. Empathy allows personnel to understand how their actions impact the department, their colleagues, and the community. They actively seek to understand the perspective of the community they serve, fostering better relationships and accountability. That's an addition from last week. Effective communication fosters open dialogue, ensuring that personnel use discipline for continuous improvement. Any questions on that paragraph?
I don't.
No, I think we nailed it.
By embracing these qualities, discipline fosters personal responsibility, professional development, and public trust within the department and the community, including victims, witnesses, and the broader community they serve. As law enforcement officers, our duty is to serve and protect the community while upholding constitutional rights. Officers must safeguard lives and property, protect the innocent from deception, defend the vulnerable from oppression, and maintain peace by acting with integrity and fairness. Upholding these principles is critical to maintaining public trust, which is the foundation of effective policing. Though not bound by the Law Enforcement Code of Ethics, professional staff are equally responsible for ensuring their actions contribute to the department's mission of serving the community. Their conduct, both on and off duty, must reflect the values of professionalism and ethical behavior required by the department. Off-duty conduct that negatively impacts the department's reputation or impairs the ability to perform professional responsibilities will be subject to review. This includes criminal behavior or public actions that discredit the department. Personnel must remain mindful of their conduct and its potential perception by the public, always exercising self-restraint and professionalism. This is a new addition. All personnel, whether officers or professional staff, are required to intervene if they witness misconduct in accordance to Department General Order M3, complaints against department personnel. This includes reporting unethical or unlawful actions through established reporting procedures, such as notifying supervisors, contacting internal affairs, or using anonymous reporting channels. Personnel must report misconduct promptly and in accordance with department procedures, If the chain of command is compromised, alternative reporting procedures must be followed. Failure to intervene or report misconduct violates department policy and undermines the organization's integrity.
Excuse me, I'm going to go off camera. I need to go to the restroom.
Certainly. Any questions on that paragraph? This is an addition, and I really, it was important. Yeah, it was important for me to stick to what our other policy says. I don't want to, and the one thing that I really struggle with, if the chain of command is compromised, I mean, I might need what that really means, just because In other words, if the person you're reporting is, you know, in your chain of command, then obviously you wouldn't report it to them, him or her. So I might rework that section a little bit. Okay. The Oakland Police Department is committed to creating a safe environment where personnel can report misconduct without fear of retaliation. The department will take all reasonable measures to protect those who report misconduct in line with state and federal whistleblower protection laws. Retaliation will not be tolerated, and those who engage in such behavior will face disciplinary action. The department will also monitor compliance with anti-retaliation measures to maintain the integrity of the reporting process. Disciplinary actions will respect the due process rights of accused employees and officers, including the right to be informed of the allegations, to present evidence, and to appeal decisions. The department is committed to supporting personnel through training programs, workshops, and resources that promote the development of essential attributes such as self-awareness, empathy, and emotional management. In addition, the department recognizes the importance of mental health and well-being and will provide access to counseling services and stress management resources. The department values diversity, equity, and inclusion, and is committed to ensuring that all personnel and community members are treated with respect and fairness. Discriminatory behavior will not be tolerated, and all personnel are expected to contribute to a work environment that upholds the department's non-discrimination standards. The sections outlined in this manual will be enforced through established disciplinary procedures. Depending on the severity of the offense, officers or professional staff who violate them may be disciplined up to and including termination. Adhering to these principles creates a culture where ethical conduct and accountability guide decision-making at every level. As our commitment to community policing grows, these values ensure that the Oakland Police Department remains a trusted guardian of public safety. Together, we uphold our mission to serve, protect, and foster mutual trust between the department and the community. It's a long one.
Yeah, but you know, I had a question with one word that was used several paragraphs up that I was thinking about when we were trying to get those words together. You got to go up further. It's empathy. Okay. Apparently, according to this document, we want people to treat people with empathy. I understand empathy to mean treat them in a way that you would want to be treated, or understanding what they're going through because you've experienced that same situation, so you can empathize with them. You're not feeling sorry for them. You're saying, I understand you because, you know, your child is missing. My child was missing last year. And it was, you know, so I understand your hysteria. Am I making myself clear? So why wouldn't we have empathy, or should we have empathy when we was trying to define respect? If we have it here, if the department is committed to supporting personnel through training programs, workshops, and resources that promote the development of essential attributes, these are essential attributes. We want officers to be self-aware. We want them to have empathy. So when we spoke earlier about respect and what respect means for the OPD organization, shouldn't we have empathy there also? Or are we being sincere if we have empathy here, talking about, you know, this is our goals, this is what we think about the officers, but when it comes down to defining what respect means, you don't have to empathize with them.
Well, we can put empathy in there. We can roll back over there.
Okay.
Let me see.
I bring it up because I thought about it when we were talking
You're
about it. And I
mute,
thought,
Regina.
well, maybe empathy was too touchy-feely. And
No, I
maybe,
mean, we're talking about the tenets of emotional intelligence. Now,
yes,
I think they know that word because you all get emotional intelligence training, correct? Lieutenant Hubbard?
It's not.
Not consistent?
It's almost reactive to those who need it. So it's
After
someone
you
who
have
is on
yeah.
is someone who's on supervisory monitoring or intervention.
Yeah.
Often are then deferred to one of our trainers who does that.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, I think that one of the things we certainly uncovered is that we don't have a consistency in practices across much. And that would be most important for the chief to understand and support. Because you can't keep doing these things one off because something happens. This should be rote memorization, but celebration because it's not something special and nice to do. It's who you are.
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah. So Deacon Lyles, is this where you're referring in
Yeah,
under the
I-
respect section?
Yeah, if this is what respect means, and we have it in that other section that we value, these are the qualities we value in people, then we want folks to respect means that we empathize with people. That's how we respect them.
Yeah.
If you have that kind of similar circumstance, try to understand the person that's crying in front of you and is loud and hysterical. Empathize with their plight.
Mhm.
All right. How's that look? Civility, courtesy, empathy, politeness, and professional behavior.
Yes, I
Yeah.
feel comfortable.
Okay. I will add something in my notes here about emotional intelligence training. We definitely need that in the academy. We really struggle with new recruits in emotional intelligence.
Mm.
Yeah, when you're talking about, it's like the social capital thing, for those of us in the workforce, different scenarios, different wording gets introduced at different times. And if these are young people, 18 to 26 or something, they may never have heard those two, reference points. Maybe like, huh? So that's why it's really important. It's part of the language, it's part of the culture, and it's part of the demonstration.
Okay, going back to preamble. Anything else in the
Good.
preamble that we want
No, I just think when we were reading the what was it? Didn't you just this is what is this section called? The
to?
preamble.
So this is the
Yeah.
preamble to the
Preamble.
manual of rules. Yeah,
Yeah. So we only rolled back over to the other one we had gone over earlier because we wanted to add that one word.
that's right.
But when we get to the in addition, the department recognizes the importance. But do we really? Again, just from touring and hearing about, the percentage of people that actually come in, again, it's still about culture. So we're talking about the words until we actually ensure that everybody uses it.
And I also think we're being consistent.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, can you continue reading?
I think I got to the end of it, but
Yeah,
I
that's it.
can,
Oh, you did
yeah,
adhering to these principles? Yeah, okay, very good.
Now, that paragraph adhering to these principles, that's kind of like the one sentence or two sentences that I was looking for, something that ties it up in a bow. And this last sentence does that for this preamble.
okay. All right, I will send an updated version on that. Okay, what's next for us?
The actual manual of rules, don't we have like 80 of them to go through?
Well,
Yeah,
Gina and I will come back and be on your ad hoc.
We're not leaving. We're not going to come back. We're not leaving.
Well, we're leaving our roles as commissioners and we'll pledge to come and be a part of the ad hoc.
I guess so. Okay. I'm not leaving.
Christ, Anthony Batts, that's how long ago? Yeesh,
Yeah, it
14 years ago, huh?
it even
So-
dates a little bit earlier than that. Just because it was so the process, and maybe we should discuss that here. The process was a little bit different, just because this obviously will be something that the city attorney probably needs to be a part of, but also the unions, both sides, the sworn and professional staff. That I would say that there are two tracks for this project back in 2009 to 2010, which was making sure that we captured all the manual of rules that we want to include, which I thought was relatively easy considering, but it was the discipline range. That's one of the bigger, heavier lifts, if you will. I don't know if we want to include more stakeholders in that discussion.
Well, I think we're full up. But
Yeah.
Marcia, to your point, one of the things that Commissioner Janelle Harris mentioned in I think the first year of the commission was that there were no less than 153 policies that were 20 years old. So we already knew, especially when we were going to put our hands on them, that we were going to be addressing an uphill climb. I think the first year we did 10 policies. So, you know, we're probably a lot better situated now that we're 7 years in. But
Okay, this is what I want to know. Does a list or chart exist with the date of the last revision of the policy, of the individual policy? Have you ever created a list of all of the policies and the date they were last revised? Is that something you've ever given to, say, the IG office? Have you given something like that to the IG's office, maybe?
I actually think it was the IG's office who did that. I had to look. Joseph McAuliffe, I believe his name is. I'm sorry if I mess up his last name, but
Yeah.
he went through every single policy, and I think he developed something. I think on the same track we did under Chief Wong when he was here. I have to look through my files, but yes,
Okay.
that is something we can produce.
Should we then look at that list or that chart and determine the level of priority?
Certainly, and it might not be the oldest policy that takes a priority, but
Correct.
certainly. I do have a mini list of priority policies that I know I'm working on. But we do have landlord tenant policy, for example, was written back in 1978.
Oh, ouch.
Yeah, that's true.
So Lieutenant Hubbard, I think we had this conversation, I can't remember if it was in the ad hoc or not, that you would be providing us a current list of policies that are being worked on so that the commission in general can know. Because we're doing policies in a couple different ways now. Some are being recommended by the IMT.
Mhm.
Others, are coming up to us, based upon problems or issues, kind of like how the pursuit policy was presented.
Mhm.
Are you all working regularly on policies if they don't happen outside of those two areas?
Yeah.
Yeah, certainly. So, for example, we had a lot of technology upgrades for the city of Oakland, like using flock cameras and license plate readers. That was a lot of effort to upgrade policy based on that. There's grand jury reports that call for that, but there's also just small things that come up here and there that make us. So it's not just the IMT or the commission, but I would say those are probably in the I'm sorry, the IG's office. Those usually are the first ones we work on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are some
An
obsolete?
overview for our new commissioners. Go ahead.
Are there policies, and again, it sounds like a tremendously long list, but are some even obsolete?
By them expiring on their own, no.
No. Yes. I mean, like, I can't imagine an example, but something that's antiquated using some technology, for instance, that no longer exists, or it's been exceeded by something else. I'm just wondering, when something new is a policy, do you look to see whether or not it makes something else no longer necessary, maybe obsolete?
Certainly, yeah. I understand what you're saying. Yes, we could do a better job, but we really want to make sure that there's not another policy compromised by us working on something. For example, the pattern definition policy. There's two policies that influences. So one of them snuck up on me. I didn't even know it existed.
See,
So luckily, I was able to catch it and work on both. But yeah, things like that do happen.
Let me ask a question, Lieutenant. How many policies in total are there inside OPD?
Hundreds.
So
Because
then
we
the
have
next-
manuals also. It's not just general orders. We have a report writing manual. We have special orders. We have training bulletins. We have information bulletins.
So the
Yeah, it's a lot.
the reason I'm asking the question is because I'm also interested in understanding, what we discovered with the racial profiling policy was that there was no manual of rules and there was no recommended discipline.
Mhm.
Are
Mhm.
there policies out there that don't have, like all of the the bells and whistles, so to speak? Is there a way that we could know?
Yeah, and can a bulletin take out a rule? I mean, is there certain things that trump?
What trumps what?
Yeah, what trumps?
Yeah. Usually general orders are supposed to be the policy. Anytime you see the word shall in there, usually that inherently means that it's now a policy. But general orders are supposed to be the top of the tier.
And see, those are the kind of overviews for people like the vice chair and new people coming on. You wouldn't just know that.
No.
Right.
So there has to be kind of I don't know, I guess I'd call it an overview. OPD has 899 policies, general orders, and blah, blah, blah. Of them, 200 are general orders, the 400 or bulletins and, you know, so that one could get just the sense of the depth of how big this is, you know?
Have you guys ever thought about having a consultant just come in and make sense of this? This sounds like
Yeah, and pay somebody to do it.
yeah, this is, I've
I
never
don't
heard
have
of
any
anything.
money.
Yeah, I know they don't have any money now, but
When you get some money.
no, I think it's done that way to make this convolution.
Yeah.
The
Never heard
intent
of
is to
anything
be,
like this.
because I don't know that other departments do it like this. At least the ones that I've seen are not, you know, they'll have advisory bulletins and they'll call them that. This is just advisory, you know.
Right,
But the
but
general orders are mandated. And
well,
so
and-
everybody knows that you can't go and defend yourself because you got an advisory bulletin.
well,
That's
and to
just
that
a
point,
suggestion.
it's
you
an
know.
easier thing to do to call it out. You know, I'm a big fan of one pagers.
Yeah.
I would love to know. I mean, I think it's a little embarrassing for me having been on 7 years and I don't know how many policies and general orders we have. And then for the commission moving forward, it's like, you know, when you're just working on policies that are not prioritized by the IG, the IMT, or situational, you know, things that pop up inside Oakland, we should have a sense of, yeah, we should have a sense of the largesse of it all.
And the hierarchy, because if I were accused of something and received some discipline, for instance, I would just say, well, you know, the bulletin said this.
Yeah, I could do
And now,
this. Yeah.
and now you're saying that there's a rule that says that. And I would be a little concerned that's why I asked you, does one take out another? What trumps what? To have such a large repertoire of rules and regulations and directives and bulletins, it might create more problems than it ever would solve. So how do you codify this stuff so that it actually makes sense to the officer, to the attorneys that defend them, and the executives within the department that impose it? I mean, when I hear that an officer can say, there's no rule saying I can't use my personal funds to pay an informant, and that officer is cleared because it wasn't in writing anywhere. I just, you know, that's to me like saying they didn't say I could do it on that I couldn't do it on a Monday, and I did it on a Monday.
Right. And there's no follow-up you know, criminal charge for doing that. You can't pay anybody to lie on the witness stand. That's illegal. That's a criminal, you know, as you know, as an attorney, you know, if any one of us did that, we'd be charged.
No, but I think what was also interesting though, Reg, was that I don't think, and again, we've not been able to get these reports of investigations, but it doesn't sound like the charge was ever one of lying on the stand. That came afterwards when the DA honored the writ of habeas corpus that let the two defendants out of prison. And then they contacted OPD and say, hey, you got a dirty cop. You got one that lied on the stand, he perjured. So I don't know whether that ever came up in the IAD investigation. Again, we're still working on getting those reports. But with so much to look at and consider when you are holding an officer accountable. I think you kind of like lay grounds for yourselves to be reversed. And I understand most of the cases are being reversed and lost.
Well, I think it's 137 of the Penal Code, false testimony. You cannot do it. You cannot do that. And I don't know if a statute of limitation should not have been ended.
Yeah.
Because they just discovered it.
Yeah.
And so why that person, he may not have been held accountable because there's no law or no regulation in OPD's manual of rules that says you cannot use your own money to pay somebody to give false testimony. It is a violation of the California Penal Code.
And then there's that.
And then there's that. And then there was no follow-up in that
for sure.
regard.
Yeah.
That speaks to the depth of where we are right now. That
Yeah.
just
That this late in the
epitomizes it to
game,
me.
this late in the game, something like that could get out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the fact that you've been a policeman for 15, 20 years or whatever, and you're just now saying, I didn't know I couldn't do that. What?
Yeah. Doesn't say I can't. You
So
can't.
I know this is a public statement and everybody's hearing this, but maybe the people need to hear it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And this is not a matter of hating. This is just, this is the depth of what we're dealing with.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, yes, yes. So, Madam Chair, how much more are we doing? Are we are at
It's 7:43 now. So I mean, I feel like these conversations are really priceless and we are getting through it, but you're right. I think I've probably yawned 20 times. So I think it's probably okay to call a stop at this point. What is your thought about that, Lieutenant Hubbard? Is there something else that we could get through, or should we just call it?
Because why did you put up this manual of rules? Is this the next step?
Yes. There are 80 of them. Are they 80 or are there more?
80 manual of rules.
Yeah. So we still got a lot of work. But
and this 80 are the most violated and the ones that are the most serious, correct?
No, the manual of rules encompasses everything. So we talked about the most severe as in the first offense would automatically result in termination. I don't think there was much discussion there or even the need for that matter.
Okay.
Yeah, the one thing I'm struggling with is where we go from here. And including the conversation of the policy, I think is essential because if we do identify a section that's missing, but there's no manual of rules violation for it, then it really questions on the policy and how those two things relate. So it's a bigger discussion.
Well, I think the journey of 1,000 miles begins as the first step. If there's no rhyme or reason of going at this, just take one after another.
That's right.
Until we discover what we need to discover.
That might be better served than worrying about the discipline range. I think that can come last, but the actual manual rules sections I think are more critical of any glaring accountability issues that we have missed over the years since, for over 15 years now since this policy or manual was published.
Yeah. So why don't we do this, Lieutenant? Why don't you send us 5 manual rules to read through before our next meeting? Is that a reasonable number?
Certainly.
So let's try, if our cadence is 5 per week, maybe we might be finished by the end of the year or early at the top of the next year.
I might lean on internal affairs. So one thing I might ask is if we have had any discipline hearings where there's not a specific manual of rules section that maybe should have been. We do have catch-alls like just performance of duty general. So if we don't have a specific violation in the manual of rules, we just sustain the officer for that.
Okay.
So maybe it's also like what is missing, what's glaring, similar to the racial profiling. That was a glaring manual of rules omission.
Correct. I think it's important to get Durham and his posse together to contribute on that so that we're not holding or lifting so much. And I don't know that we have the checkbox that each policy, like I said, has the manual of rules, has the this, has the that. And hopefully we can get to that. But also in the meantime, if Joseph has created kind of a spreadsheet, then we can request that he share that with us so that we can look at that as well, just for our edification.
Certainly.
Okay, so great work, everybody, and especially you, Lieutenant Durham. Lieutenant Hubbard, excuse me. And I think if we can start with this, 5 manual rule cadence, and we'll see how it goes. Maybe we only get through 2. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Everybody, thank you so much for your contributions. And get some AC or get some water, Gatorade, something like that. Get a shower.
Yeah, this is crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
In October, yeah.
Yeah.
Okie dokie. Well, we're going to call it a night. It is 7:48. We'll give you all 12 minutes back.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Take
Have a
care.
good
Good night.
evening,
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you.